Hello friends, welcome to Hybridacademy and to another session of Learn Adobe Photoshop for Beginners. In today's session, we will learn some advanced techniques of Adobe Photoshop which will not only make your work easier but will also make it more professional. So the course agenda for today's session, that is Advanced Photoshop Techniques Part 1, is how to work with Photoshop Actions. This is one of the very important advanced technique of Adobe Photoshop which makes your life very easy when you have to perform multiple actions again and again on multiple photos. Let's understand what is Adobe Photoshop Actions. Adobe Photoshop Actions are a user-built series of recorded tasks or commands that you can play back and record on Photoshop files. They are like macros of Microsoft Word or Excel, etc., or can be called as shortcuts to automate a series of tasks. In other words, Adobe Photoshop Actions are like set of tasks that you can apply to multiple photos. These set of tasks can be like applying some visual effects, changing the image size, or saving in a certain format. Photoshop Actions also include modal controls that allow you to control the values of certain actions. Actions help users to speed up the editing process or add effects in a more automated fashion. Photoshop Actions also eliminate the regular need to repeat the same set of edits for a large set of photos again and again. Now in this slide, if you look at the right hand side picture, this is the action window, and using this window we work on actions. So in this, if you look at the top right corner, the first thing that is available is the panel menu. This allows you to load of options available. On the left hand side we have the checkbox which gives you the option to toggle the action on or off. Just below that, on the left hand side we have the show and hide dialog box option. Using this we can add certain tasks where the user can select what to do and what not to do. At the bottom of this window we have the options to stop recording, start recording, play the activated action, delete an action, or create a new action or create a new set. Now the set in action is like the layer group where we can actually group a set of actions under a single set. So when you wish to perform multiple actions under a single heading, you can head them or you can group them under a single set. You will see all these options in Adobe Photoshop. Moving further, let's see why we should use Adobe Photoshop Actions. As software that can deliver fascinating and high quality results in just a few clicks, Photoshop Actions offers many benefits to its users. It saves your time and energy. Photoshop Actions can help you reduce the time used to edit each photo individually, which really saves a lot of your energy, speeds up your workflow, and allows you to generate finished photos as fast as possible. It gives you professional and stunning results. Consistent and dazzling results are also one of the Photoshop's Actions' strong points. Actions will consistently provide you desired results and will also aid in minimizing errors to get the perfect photo even faster. User-friendly, Photoshop Actions are very simple feature if you know how and when to use it perfectly. Using this feature alone does not require you to be a master of Photoshop. Even beginners are able to use the actions. Despite of its incredible powers, it is surprisingly easy to use. Now let's see actions in Adobe Photoshop. So to work on actions, I have taken two sample pictures from pexels.com. One is this and the other one is this. So we will try to record an action on one picture and then we'll later try to apply the same action on the other picture and see what happens. So now before recording the action, we need to plan what all things we want to do. It's not just like whatever we think and we just do it. Just plan it before doing anything. And just remember that actions do not work on any kind of drawing tool like brush, pencil, etc. So to start with actions, we will first go to the window menu, and from the window menu we will select actions. Now the shortcut key for this is Alt plus F9, and in case of Mac this will be Options plus F9. So once we click on this, you'll see a new window will pop up. This is the same window which we saw in that slide, and this has the option of the menu on the right. This has all the buttons at the bottom using which we can create the actions. Now suppose I wish to record an action to resize this image to, let's say, 1000 pixels. Now before making the action, let's check the size of this image. We will go to image, we'll click on image size. Now remember, the shortcut key for this is Alt plus Control plus I in case of Windows, and Options Command plus I in case of Mac. So once we click on this, you can see that the size or the width of this picture is 4000 pixels. This is the original size. Now if I wish to resize this, I can do this to 1000 and I can click on OK. This will resize the picture, this will make this smaller, but we will record this in our action. So to do that, we will first create a set or a group. So this button here allows you to create a new set or the group of actions. So we'll click on this, we'll rename this as, let's say, my first action, and I'll click on OK. So you can see a new folder or a new group is created, and there is nothing within this group. Now we'll add actions to this group, and to create action we have a plus button at the bottom. This button says create new action. So once we click on this, it will create a new action, and since I wish to resize this image, so we can rename this as resize image to 1000 pixel width. Now this has no limitation to whatever limit you want, whatever lengthy name you want you can put, but it should clarify what exactly this action does. So that is the reason I have written such a lengthy name, that it resizes the image to 1000 pixel width. Then you can select the set or the group to which you want to add this action. So the default automatically is taken as my first action because that was selected. I'll click on this. We can also apply a shortcut key using any of the function keys. For example, F2, F3, F4, F5 till F12, we have all the function keys available. So whichever shortcut key you wish to apply to this particular action, you can select that. And suppose if already some other action has been assigned to this shortcut key, that will be overwritten with this. If you don't want to overwrite, you can also select the option of Shift and Control, or just Control or just Shift. So this way it will create a combination of shortcut, and this will not override but will create a new shortcut for this particular action. And as per your choice, you can also assign a new color to this action, so whichever color you want. And once this is done, you can click on the record button. So this will actually start the recording of this action. So once I click on record, you can see this red button gets highlighted. It shows that the recording has been started. Now in this window, if you look at this, it is just having the set, that is the group name, and the action. But right now you cannot see anything because we have not performed any action as of now. Now let's start performing the actions. So the first thing I wish to do is I wish to resize this image. So I'll go to image, I'll click on image size. I'll set the width of this image to 1000, that is 1000 pixels, and I'll click on OK. So now you can see the image got smaller and a new action has been added to this particular list. And if I open this, you can see that the width has been set to 1000 pixels with scale styles, constant proportion. That means the width will be 1000 and the height will be adjusted automatically. and the interpolation is automatic. So all the features which are there in that particular dialog box, which is of image size, all these things are set in this particular action. Even if you wish to change the resolution of this, you can also do that. But now since I've already recorded that, if I do it again, suppose I change it to 300 and I click on OK, so you'll see another action has been added to this, and now it says the resolution is 118.11%. So this has actually added a new action to this, but I do not want this, so I'll have to delete this. And to delete this, I'll first have to stop the recording, and then I can either drag this to the delete button, or I can simply select this and then click on the delete button to delete this action. Now you can see a new action has been recorded, and the name of this is resize image to 1000 pixel width. Now let's go to the other image. Let's see the size of this initially. I'll go to image, I'll go to image size, and you can see the width of this image is 3858 pixels, that is 3858 pixels. Let me click on OK. Now to resize this, I'll simply click on this action. Rather, this is the action name, so I'll click on this and I'll click play. So you can see this image also got resized and got smaller. Let's check the size. It's 1000 pixel. So you can see what we recorded on the first image also got applied to the second image. Now this is the benefit of action, that we can record a set of actions and then we can apply that to any image we want. I can even close these images and close the Photoshop. Again, I can come back tomorrow and I can open this action window. I can apply the same action to any other picture because this has been saved within my Photoshop. Now moving further, I'm just going to undo what we did. I will just undo the action so that I'm back to my original image. Let's check the size once again. Again, the size is 4000 pixels, so this is the original image, and this one step in this action has been recorded. Now further in the action, suppose I wish to add some color to this image. It's too much of yellow. Suppose I wish to add some light tone or the cool tone on this particular picture. So I'll have to add some color to this, and let's record that as well. So you can see that I've already selected the last set of actions in this, and I'll just click on record. So it will start the recording just after this particular action. So I can even add more actions to the existing action. So once I click on record, it has again started recording, and now I'll add a new layer to this. So I'll click on new layer, and you can see a new action got recorded as make layer. Now to this layer, I'll add some color. So I'll select the color from here. Let's say I select blue color. I click on OK. So you can see it's already set the foreground color, and now I'll add the foreground color on this particular layer. So for that, I can either use the fill bucket or the paint bucket tool, or I can press Alt with backspace. That's the shortcut key for filling the foreground color. So I'll just click on it once, and you can see this color got filled. So more actions got recorded, that is make layer, set foreground color, and fill. And if I expand this, it will show you what all things are included within this. Now moving further, I wish to change the blend mode of this color. So I'll again use the select tool, and let me just try different blend modes. So it's like darken, it's multiply, color burn, or let's say lighten. Maybe I like this one. And I also wish to reduce the opacity, somewhat like this. But if you look at the action window, see whatever blend mode I have selected, it has been recording everything along with the foreground color, fill color, set current layer, set colored layer. You can see repeated actions. Every time I change the blend mode, it has recorded that. And even last I set the opacity, it has recorded at that as well. So it has selected the last blend mode as lighten and the opacity as 49%. Now since we have recorded so many actions which are actually not required, So what we can do is that we can stop this and we can delete the actions which we do not want. So if you see, we need the blend mode to be lightened and we need the opacity to be 49%. So we can either delete only these 3 set of actions and let these 2 be there. But again, what is the benefit of having again 2 actions when we can have this in just 1 action? So let's delete them as well. And I'll tell you how to create both these actions in just 1 action. So I'll delete this as well. And we are back to the fill option where we filled the blue color in this. Let's change this to normal and let's change the opacity to 100% where we were initially. So this is the condition where we were, and now we'll continue this action from here on. So we'll again click on the record button, and instead of selecting the blend mode from this drop down, what we will do, we will either double click on this layer or we will select the blending options from the effects. So we'll click on blending options, and in this window, if you see, all the same blending options are available. We can again check all of them one by one, or maybe using the arrow keys we can try all of them one by one. This is the one which we selected, lighten. You can still try the other ones, whichever you like. Suppose I select the soft light, or suppose any other blend mode, whichever you think is good. Let's select lighten, which we selected initially. And we also have the option to set the opacity. So we can set the opacity to same value which we had initially, that is 49%. And once this is done, we can click on OK. So now if you see, all those actions got merged into a single action, and we can see that the opacity has been set to 49% and the mode has been set to light. Now let's stop this action and try to perform all these actions on the other image. So we will go to this second image. Now this image I have already undo to the original size. So you can see that the image size is back to the original, that is 3858, so that we can resize it 1000 pixels. And I'll select the action name and I'll click on play. So you can see all the actions again got applied to this picture as well. The image size got changed to 1000 pixels. Let's check this. See, it is 1000 pixels. We created a new layer. We set the foreground color to blue. We set the fill color. That is, we filled the blue color in this new layer, and then we set the opacity to 49% and the mode to lighten. Now, if you look at this, I think the opacity should be a bit lesser on this particular picture, maybe somewhat like this. So this will look better. So instead of setting it fixed to 49% for the next image, we have an option where we can make it variable, or we can ask the user to set the opacity. So to do so, I'll first undo all the actions I have performed on this image, so that we are back to our original image. So now this image is to its original. You can check the size. It's again 3858. Now let's go back to our original image where we performed the action. Now in this image, we need to change the fill color, and we want to ask the user to set the opacity to his choice. So let's delete all these options which we did after the image size. And let's also delete this layer because we do not need this now. We'll create a new layer. So we are back to just image size, where we resize this image to 1000 pixels. Now let's start the recording once again and perform the first action, that is to insert a new layer. So we'll click on this. So a new layer is inserted and a new action got recorded as make layer. Now the next thing which we want to do is to set the fill color on a new layer. So instead of selecting the color from here, and instead of using the option of bucket filling, paint bucket tool, or bucket filling, or using the fill shortcut of Alt backspace, this time we'll use the shortcut as Shift plus backspace or Shift plus delete, so that it asks the user to select the color. And this time let's select the red color instead of the blue color, just to distinguish between both the things. And we click on OK. So now you see this fill, the same thing happened. We filled the red color in the new layer, but this time we did it through a different process. And now let's set the blending option for this layer. So we'll again double click on this. We'll select this to whichever option we want. Let's select this to color burn and we'll set the opacity. Let's change it to 20% and I'll click on OK. Now if you see, there is a square box in front of fill and this set current layer. So we'll select this in front of fill and we'll select this in front of set current layer, because these two actions are the thing where we want the user to interfere and set the fill color and to set the opacity. And now we will stop the action. Now you can see this particular toggle dialog on off is on for this and this particular action. So let's move on to the next image and try to perform this over there. We'll select the action name, select the actual image and click on play. Now see, as soon as it reaches the fill box, this dialog box open, we click on OK, and did you notice that it did not ask for the color? Because the user was not aware what to do in that particular box. So we moved on to the next set of action where it is asking to set the opacity. Now since it has not filled the color, how can we know what opacity to fill in that? So let's cancel this and we'll undo this to move on to the original image. So we'll come back to the original picture and we'll select the action which is just prior to fill, because before selecting the fill action, we need to tell the user what to perform and what exactly to do in the next step. So let's start the recording and we'll click on this icon and we'll select the option of insert stop. Now this will give us an option to send a message or to show a message to the user what to do in the next action. So the next action is fill, where the user needs to first select the color option. In the next action, please select the color option from the drop down and click on OK. Once this is done, please select the color of your choice. Once this is done, this will tell the user, or this will tell the person using the action what to do in the next step. And there is another option to allow continue. This is mandatory to check if you want to perform the complete action. If you do not check this, this will stop the action right away after showing this message. So we'll click on OK. So you see a new step has been added, and this is checked by default because it will show the dialog box. So this has to be checked, and this is the message. Now similarly, let's add a message prior to set current layer, because here we wish to set the opacity and the blending layer. So we'll click on fill, which is action just prior to this. We'll again click on this icon. We'll select insert stop and let's write the message here. Please select the blend mode and opacity in the next window. We'll again click on allow continue and we'll click on OK. And now we'll stop the action. Now let's try to perform this on the other image. We'll go to the other image, we'll select the name of the action and we'll click on play. So see, it stopped at the first stop and it gives the message in the next action, please select the color option from the drop down and click on OK. Once this is done, please select the color of your choice. You click on continue. Now see, it gives this dialog box. We select the color option. We select the color of our choice. Let's say this time we select green color and we click on OK. Now again it shows a message, please select the blend mode and opacity in the next window. I said continue. Now if I would have not checked that small checkbox at the bottom left corner, this continue button won't appear. It will directly allow to stop this action. So it will stop any further action after this. So we'll select continue and see in this box it shows the option, it gives the option to select the blend mode, whichever you want. Let's select screen and also the opacity of our choice. So let's set it to 21 and I click on OK. So see, now this time this action is more interactive. It is giving the user the choice to select the fill color and also to select the opacity and blend mode by telling the user what to do and how to do it. So now you know how the action works and what is the functionality of an action. You also know how to add a stop to our action to tell the user what to do in the next action to be performed. Now let's also understand what kind of errors usually people get or why people think that the action is very difficult to perform. So the basic of this, or to understand this in a very layman's language, is that whenever your action is dependent on a particular object which is specifically mentioned in your action, that action will definitely fail. So for example, in this particular action, suppose I am again starting the recording after all these steps. I click on record and I click on this background layer. So now if you see, the action says select layer background. This background is specific to this particular layer. And suppose my new image is, I'll stop this and let's check the other image, and let's see, in this image we do not have a background layer. So whenever we will try to run this action on this particular image, it will give an error on this particular step. Let's try to do it. I'll select the action name, I'll select the original image and I'll click on play. See, everything is happening. It says continue. I'll select the color. Let's say this time I select some purple color. I click on OK. OK. It asks me to select the blend mode and opacity. Let's select that. I'm selecting the opacity. Let's say multiply and I'm selecting the opacity. I click on OK. And now it says the select. It gives an error this time. It says the command select is not currently available. So this particular step is not getting performed. So I can either stop this or I can continue to move to the next set of actions. But this is actually an error. So to avoid such things, always ensure that you do not add any particular step in your action which has a specific reason or a specific entity mentioned in that. Now to rectify this, if suppose I would have wanted to select a layer which is just below this. So instead of clicking on the background layer, I could have selected a shortcut key to select the layer which is just below it. Now let's delete this action, and we were at this layer because we selected the background layer which got recorded. Now let's record to select the layer which is just below this. So I'll again start the recording, and instead of clicking on the background layer, I'll use the shortcut which is Alt and the right square bracket. This is the shortcut key to select the layer which is the one which is below the current layer. So I'll click on this and you see the background layer selected. But in the actions window, you can see it says select forward layer. So this is not specific to background layer, but any layer which is just below this or the one which is forward to this layer. Now similarly, suppose I wish to select layer 1 again. Instead of clicking on layer 1, I can click on the shortcut key which is Alt and left square bracket. So see, now it says select backward layer, not specifically select layer 1. So now this will automatically perform action in any image or any picture you wish to perform. Now let's try to run this action on the second image. I'll go to this image. I'll again click on the action name and I'll click on play. Again the same steps. I select the color, and let's say I select yellow this time. I click on OK. Select the blend mode. I click on OK and see it automatically selects the forward layer, backward layer, and it's again on the actual layer. So this was all about the actions. Now you know how to create actions, how to set the stops, and also what are the errors usually people get while creating the actions. Now let's quickly summarize today's session. So in today's session, we'll learn the first advanced Photoshop techniques, that is how to work with Photoshop Actions. Moving further, in the next session, we will learn the second advanced Photoshop technique, that is how to automate actions via batch. So in this session, we'll learn how to create the action, and in the next session, we will learn how to use these actions in a batch on multiple set of images. So suppose you have 100 images and you want to apply this action on 100 different images at one go. So we can use the batch option to do that. We'll learn that in the next session, that is part 2 of advanced Photoshop techniques. Thank you for joining the complete session. Hope you like the content. Please share and subscribe our channel so that your friends also get benefited with the information, acquire free knowledge, and learn new things. We are eagerly looking forward to your support. Thanks, take care, and stay safe. Hope to see you in the next session.